Good morning students. Hope you are safe and sound at home and studying regularly and watching the videos. Now students, as we have already done the first part of our Civics chapter, that is lesson number 15, government. In this, we have the second part now, that is types of governments. Students, in the previous video we saw what we mean by the word government and what a government does for the development of the nation, or for a specific area or state, or for the whole nation as a whole. So students, today we will be studying the types of governments. In the previous video we saw the levels of government. In that video we had seen that levels means the areas in which they are working. Okay, that is, we had the three types: local government, state government and central government. Those are the three levels. And now we have types of governments. That is a mode of working, how they work in different forms. That we will be seeing in this topic. The students, our country, India, is having which sort of governance? It is having democratic sort of governance. We already saw that in the previous video. Our country is following democracy. So we can say that it is a democratic country. So the governance, system of governing is also democratic. That is, our country is having which sort of government? Democratic government. So all the countries in the world do not have democracy as their form of governments. They are having different forms. So we'll study the different types of governments which are existing all over the world. There are three main types. Okay. First we will see the names of three main types. First we have a democratic government. Second we have the communist government. Third we have the monarchical government or monarchy. Okay. All the three are the different types of government or way of governance. We'll study each one of these. Okay students? So students, let's see the first one, that is democratic government. As we already saw, government short form we have GOVT dot. Okay. Now, as we saw that India is the largest democracy in the world, one of the largest democracies, so we have the maximum number of voters. So students, it's quite natural to be understood that voting is the main procedure to elect our government. So the first topic in this will be our government comes into power in a democracy. We'll take our country for example. Our government comes into power through voting. So the very important topic here is voting or rule of franchise, right of franchise. Okay, this word is also very important for you all. Franchise means voting. Okay, here it stands for voting. Voting is compulsorily done to elect our government. And in this sort of government, this type, public is kept at the central point. That is, public is the main focal point or focus here. Why? Because the common public citizens are the ones who are electing their own government. We saw the definition of democracy in the previous video. What was that? Of the people, by the people and for the people. So, the public is in the central position in our democracy. And local, central and state governments, we had the levels of government. They are also formed through election. We saw that. So, in some countries, what happens, students? The elected members, that is through voting, the members who are elected. From amongst them, the chief minister or prime minister is elected in a democracy. And in India, we follow parliamentary form of democracy. In India, we are having which form of democracy? Parliamentary form of democracy. Okay. In some countries, they have presidential form of democracy. But in India, we have the parliamentary form of democracy. In some countries, what happens? They have presidential form of democracy. So, in democracy also, these are different little points which matter. A little bit of difference can be seen in these topics. And for a democratic government, we can say that it is run by the people, directly or indirectly through election. Why? Because it is of the people, by the people and for the people. So you can see that it is run directly or indirectly by the people. How? Through the form of or mode of election. Yes, friends? So, in a democracy, you can say that public or people are the central point of focus. There is no alternative for protection and promotion of human rights. Why? Because the government works completely for the common citizens, that is for the common public. It works for the welfare of the common public. And therefore, the rights of the people are protected and the all-round development of the country takes place. And in a democracy or in a democratic government, people play a very important role, as you already saw, and government very deeply interestingly. That is, it does not leave any obstacle there so that the people will suffer. It works for the all-round development of the whole nation. And the tenure or the time period in India for the democratic government is 5 years. Okay? In India it is 5 years. It differs in other places, but in India for the democratic government the tenure is 5 years. Now the second type of government is, students, which one? Communist government. Now this communist government, as already know students, is a form or a type of government which is not acceptable in democratic countries. Why? Because they have their own ideology. Now students, what do you mean by the word ideology? Ideology means a set of ideas which becomes a normal practice. Okay? It becomes a common practice, a set of ideas which leads to a specific theory. So the communist government has the main motto in its governance of giving importance of equality and similarity to all. That is, all the human beings in that country. That is, all the citizens of the country. Whoever is there in that country should get equal rights. All are treated equally and similarity is given to everyone. That is, all are similar in all the things. In all aspects, all are similar and all are equal. That is the main ideology of the communist government. Okay, so in democratic countries, if one or two states follow communism, that is okay. But on a whole, if a whole nation is following communism, if a whole country is following communism, then you can say that that country is having a communist government. Okay, so government working on this basis, on the basis of communism, works for equality and similarity of all. In many countries, the government which follows communism, they have the ideology of equality and similarities. But in some countries, communist government is also elected through election. In some countries, not in all. In some countries, they have election for even the communist government. Otherwise, they don't have any need of any election here. But in some of the countries, even if they are following communism, they go for election. That is voting. And then what happens here? The administration and governance of this type of government will give equality and similarity in all aspects to all the citizens. So what happens? The people, those who govern in this form of government, which one? Communist form of government, their governance or their rule consists of 3 categories mainly. Which are they? Workers, laborers and exploited people. Okay? 3 categories they have main in their minds. Workers, laborers and exploited people. Okay? So students, what do you mean by these terms over here? Workers means those who work physically, they do hard labor. Laborers also same category. And exploited people are ones who are not given their rights at proper time. Unfair use of such people are being taken off. Exploited people are the ones who are being taken, used by the other people of higher authority in an unfair manner. So these 3 classes of people are given much importance that they should also get equality and similarity. This ideology is being there in the minds of people who are in the communist government, that the workers, laborers and exploited people should get equality and similarity. Both. Okay? This is a very important point over here. Okay? And then what happens today? Some rulers who rule individually in communist countries, okay, or forcibly they have left communism. Forcibly they have left it. And they have adopted monarchy or dictatorship. They have adopted which sort of government? They have adopted monarchy or dictatorship. Now this point we will be studying in the next point after this topic here, that is monarchy. We are having a 3rd type of government. And this is a form of government in which a person is ruling singularly and the totality of the country, the total rule of this person takes place in the country. That is a dictator. He is known as a dictator. So those people who have left communism forcibly, they are shifting nowadays either to monarchy. Monarchy will be seeing after this point. That is the rule of a king actually. Will be seeing after this point. Or they are shifting to dictatorship. Dictatorship means ruling the whole country in totality as a whole, singularly as a single superpower. Okay. And an ideology is also known as leftist ideology. What is it known as? It is also known as leftist ideology or the varying ideology. Both are same. Students, we have three words over here, don't be confused. The second type of government, communist government, is also known as leftist, the varying or communist. Okay? And the ideology which they follow is which one? Communism. That is equality and singularity of all. So students, moving to the last line of page number 95, you have a spelling mistake, students, over there. Correct it. Governance. The spelling is actually Governance on page number 95. Kindly correct it. Okay. Now moving to the third type of government, which is that, students, third type is monarchy. Now students, monarchy is also known as the royal rule, okay, or rule of a king. That is, in this type of government, only one person is given much importance. He is considered as the ruler. That is singular rule. One person is considered as the main one responsible for ruling the whole country. Okay, and this person is getting his title as a ruler by inheritance. That is, his title of king or monarch is inherited from his forefathers. That is, for example, father is the king, then his son is the king, after his death, his son, in that way it goes on generations to generations. Okay, that is, it goes on from one generation to the next generation. So what happens? The father is the king, then after his death, his son, then his son, it goes on from generation to generation. That is monarchy or king. Kingship is the main topic over here. Okay, monarchy stands for kingship mostly. And this is followed by some of the countries still. Presently also, some countries are following monarchy type of government. And in this, what happens? Some places, in some of the places where monarchy is followed, they keep elections only for namesake, not always, only for namesake, they keep elections. Actually, the title of king or monarch is inherited from his forefathers only. The son becomes, then the son goes on generation to generation. But sometimes through elections also, for namesake, they elect their monarch or their king. And the ruler or the monarch is responsible for taking all the decisions of the country. He does not consult the common public, citizens are not taken into consideration. All the decisions are taken by keeping himself in the center. That is, ruler is the main person responsible for every decision making in this type of government. Okay, people are not consulted at all. And the meaning of this is the decision of one person is final. Nobody else has the right to speak up anything. The decision of the king or monarch is the final one. So emphasis is placed on whose well-being and development? On the development of the ruler himself and his family members. It's natural. The convenience of the public or the convenience of the nation is not taken into consideration. Why? Because the emphasis is laid on the convenience of the king or the monarch. Students, we come to conclusion of this topic over here. What we saw, students? We saw the types of government. The three types of governments are: first one is democratic, that is, our country is also democratic government. Our country, India, is also having democratic form of government. Secondly, we saw communism, which has totally three names: communism, leftist, and the very ideology. The third one is monarchy or kingship, that is royal rule. Okay, so we saw how these types of governments function all over the world in different forms. We saw three levels in the first video. That is the local, state and central, and types in the second part. Okay, students, go through page number 95, the central part of the page till the ending, and page number 96, the first paragraph until that pink box stands for the types of government. And watch the video carefully. Thank you, students.